Hello friends! I am back to tell you about my July reading wrap-up. I found some new books that I absolutely love in July, and so I wanted to hop on here and tell you guys about some books that are new favorites. So I'm really excited to share these with you. This video is also going to be a little bit of a recap on the Beaches and Books Readathon that I did in the month of July. So that was a ton of fun. Thank you to all the creators who put that on. I loved it. I had a blast doing that. And without further ado, let's get into the books that I loved. Okay, so I feel like I always need to go on to my Goodreads to try and figure out, like, what did I read again? You read a bunch of things, you loved it, just can't remember it. As I said, July was all about the Beaches and Books Readathon. I tried to fulfill as many prompts as I could. I ended up getting 6 of them fulfilled. The first one was Seashells, go to the library to pick out a book. And me and my daughter went to the library and I ended up reading a bunch of beautiful kids books to her. The book Snow really stood out to me the most. I think because it's been so hot here. It was really nice to just read about cooler weather. It was about this sweet little boy wanting so bad for it to snow in his little village, and every time one snowflake would fall, it would just melt. All the people in the town were just telling him, it's nothing, it'll melt, it won't, nothing's coming. The book had obviously a delightful and heartwarming happy ending to that. The second prompt that I fulfilled was Lifeguard, a book that you saved for later. So this one was definitely Crime and Poetry by Amanda Flower. Oh my goodness, you guys. I ended up loving this book. It was just the perfect, like, cozy mystery with a little dash of magic that I was looking for. I really love the main character of Violet. Her relationship with her grandma is really sweet in the story, her grandma Daisy. Violet has to rush home to her grandma's aid because her grandma told her that she was dying or was, like, really sick or something. And when Violet shows up, she finds out, like, no, grandma's fine, everything's fine with her. She just really wanted me to move back and work in her magical bookshop. Of course, she's gonna head back home as soon as she possibly can. Then a body turns up at the bookshop the next morning. Violet and her grandma are immediately put under suspicion, and so Violet has to go on this adventure of trying to solve the murder to clear her own name and her grandma Daisy's name. It's just so cute. It had all of those cozy vibes, cute little animals, tea and bookshops and grandmas and romance, detectives trying to solve crime in the local charming town. Classic class act cozy mystery. Waves, a book that made waves in the community, and boy did this book make waves in my own life because I could not put it down. And that is the 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. Okay, I'm just gonna like rave about this for a minute. Love me a good thriller, love me a good murder mystery, especially if it has Agatha Christie vibes. This one is set in a grand manor in the English countryside. This book deals with body swapping and time loops. Basically, the same murder keeps happening every night, and the main character has to solve it in order to get out of this loop. But to make matters even more interesting, he wakes up in the body of a different guest at this gala that's going on, and that's where the victim is murdered every night. He cannot remember who he is at all, so there's like Born Identity vibes. Like, it's just amazing. This is one of the fastest books I have ever read. I was trying to speed read through this. I told a ton of my friends about this as soon as I finished it. It's just a refreshing take on the murder mystery. You're not sure who's telling the truth. This book will just keep you guessing. There is a lot of violence. It's on the darker side for sure. None of the violent acts in the book are treated as if they're okay or good in any way. There's one bedroom scene, but actually nothing is described and nothing even takes place. It's like after the act has occurred. There is one scene where the protagonist wakes up as a guest who's about to have a bath. Quick little description of the anatomy of a certain body part. And so it's like such a throwaway line. That really, in my opinion, the theme of the book is this idea we all get to wake up and decide who we're gonna be in the morning, what kind of person we're gonna be. If we're gonna, go after our goals and dreams at the expense of other people, or if we're gonna have honor and integrity. Some interesting topics to ponder and discuss. And I think that if you're an adult who loves murder mysteries, you like really thoughtful movies like Inception or Interstellar, Knives Out, if you loved that movie, you're gonna love this book. Please, if you have read this book, let me know in the comments. I would love to chat about it with you guys. It's one of my new favorites now. Absolutely loved it. Starfish, a book that you think will be 5 stars. So I read the Benedict option by Dreher. I did enjoy it. I thought that had a really refreshing take on just like, you know, sometimes as believers we want to reach people for Christ, and so we want to be embedded into everything that's going on in culture and society because that's what we're called to do, right? We're called to make disciples and shine that light and love of Jesus out imperfectly, of course, but we're trying to love people. We're trying to reach them for Christ. We're trying to show them the joy in Jesus that we found, right? The problem, though, is that sometimes we become too embedded in culture. And we get so embedded that actually we can't even see God anymore and the point anymore and what really matters most, because we're just getting caught up in all the things of the world like greed and, you know, trying to look good a certain way and trying to one-up each other and trying to win this rat race of humanity and fit into all these little boxes that end up just sucking our souls dry and just being full of sin anyway. So this book really encourages the believer to like step away from all of that. It kind of reminded me of Jesus like going up on the mountain to pray, like, hey, like step away from those things that are just like polluting you and take a break and spend time with God, and don't shy away from your brothers and sisters. Form community and follow Christ together, and then that's going to blossom and bloom and grow into something really cool that then is just going to spill out from there. So like the book's emphasis was really about Christian community, in my opinion, and how important that is. Next prompt that I fulfilled for the Beaches and Books Readathon was Beach Party, a book about friendship. Okay, so the one that I'm going to go for that fulfilled the prompt that I read, that I ended up falling in love with, was The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame. Okay, so I knew as a kid that I loved this little short TV episode that my mom would show me called Mole's Christmas. I found it on the internet and you can watch it here on YouTube. It is so cute. I will link it below. But I just fell in love with that episode as a kid. I loved the relationship between the two main characters, Ratty and Mole, as they try to have a good Christmas when Mole has gotten lost and can't find his house. And then they finally find his house and there's nothing in the cupboard to eat for Christmas. And they go on this little adventure trying to make the most out of Christmas and to have a jolly, cozy night all the same. And it was just absolutely adorable. I've always been interested in checking out this children's classic. And it did not disappoint. Again, set in the English countryside. You can see a pattern here to the books that I love to read. But also this copy has stunning illustrations. I found the writing to be so immersive. Kenneth Grahame's descriptions of the changing seasons and also the relationships between the characters. There's Ratty and Mole, there's also Badger, who's kind of the wiser, older one of the group, and then Toad, Mr. Toad, who is the most frivolous, childlike, impulsive, greedy one of the group that needs to shape it up, you know what I'm saying? Ratty, Mole, and Badger, basically a big part of the story is not only them growing in their own character arcs and relationships, but also trying to help Toad to become a better guy, basically. One who's not so greedy. It is a great story about the power of friendship. Yeah, just friends that kind of call you out, but they're calling you out in love. And the illustrations really, this one, like, so cute. So then the last prompt that I fulfilled is called Boardwalk, a book that's set in a beach town. And the one that I read that fulfilled that was Live and Let Chai by Bree Baker. And oh my goodness, I had no idea that a seaside cafe cozy mystery was exactly what I needed in my life. And now I know. I definitely recommend this if you're a cozy mystery girly. So Everly Swan is the main character. Basically her family home, she's opened up as a cafe on the coast and it overlooks the ocean. It's beautiful, but not everybody in the town is thrilled that she's opened up this cafe. And one of those individuals ends up dead outside of her shop with a mug of some of her tea from her shop beside him that is filled with poison. Everly is immediately suspected as the killer, and so she has to go on this sleuthing adventure trying to figure out who killed the guy. and who is trying to frame her. There's a dash of romance, just like the crime and poetry book that I love. Sound of seagulls, the waves crashing, the golden sand, cups of iced tea, like ice cream shops overlooking the ocean. Yeah, there's a boardwalk in it. It fulfilled the prompt perfectly, and I'm so glad that I read this book. Definitely recommend it. So that is my July reading wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed that. It was a really good reading month for me personally. What was the best book that you read in July? Let me know in the comments below so we can chat it up, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys!